What's up, guys? This is TheKephas. So I think it's safe to say that Wrath of the Lich King Classic has really taken off. And to be honest, I'm a little surprised at how surprised other people are by how well it's doing. Because it's one of those things where, a lot of people say, oh, rose-tinted glasses, you think you do, but you don't, all that stuff. And I feel like this whole time I had a pretty good memory of how much fun I had with Wrath of the Lich King. And it seems to be that my memory was spot on. I knew exactly what I wanted, and hey, here I am, still playing it. Dragonflight is now in pre-patch, and I'm enjoying that some as well. There's still a little bit of Winds of Wisdom left. And then, of course, I'm really excited for actual Dragonflight. I'm ready to go. I've got my expansion loaded. I'm ready to make an Evoker, and all that's great. And yet, I'm still enjoying playing Wrath of the Lich King. Actually, kind of like, I'm a little bit torn because I'm like, what am I going to do? There's two versions of WoW to play, and they're happening at the same time, and I don't know what I'm going to do. I only have so much time to play games, So sometimes I feel like WoW cannibalizes itself. I wish there was a little bit more of a spread there. But hey, it is what it is. They got my sub, so I guess they don't really care what version of WoW I'm playing. But either way, Wrath is doing amazing. I couldn't be happier. I'm enjoying myself. And, this is I'm a little bit late to the dance here, I guess. But, recently, I guess it's been like maybe a little bit ago now, maybe about a month or so ago, Blizzard's trying to figure out what to do next. So they send out a survey for people to answer whether or not what they'd want next from Classic. Do they want to go on to Cataclysm next? Is one of the questions that was asked. And I thought it was interesting. It brought up a pretty, fun conversation. What would people want? Would they want to go to Cataclysm next? And there's, to be fair, there's a decent number of people, I think. I don't know if it's definitely going to not be as big as Vanilla, and it's certainly not going to be as big as Wrath. But I would say there's a decent number of people that would probably like to go back to Cataclysm, maybe. I don't think there's going to be as many as Wrath, though, to be honest. I really don't think so. And I think, in fact, that, if they were to move forward with, previous expansions, right, and just go up the line of everything we've done before, Cata, Mists, Warlords, I can tell you right now, there is not very many people that are going to want to go back and relive the Warlords expansion, BFA, and Shadowlands. There's virtually nobody that's going to want to go back to those, ever. No matter how much time goes by. I don't think so. There might be people that want to do parts of those, though. Like, there might be people that would be like, man, I would love to go back and go back to the days when, Blackhand, whatever, Blackrock Foundry is a main raid, and go back and redo that again. I think that would be fun. There might be people that do that. I don't think there's anybody that's going to be like, oh, man, I want to go back to Garrisons and Apex's Crystals. People don't have the same memories. And it's because those expansions just weren't as good. Period. Point blank, period. They just weren't as good. So, the question is, what do they do? Do they go back? Because on the other hand, I can tell you right now that obviously Vanilla was a huge splash. Mainstream level, brought attention to WoW, brought streaming for WoW up huge, more than any new expansion has. And then, of course, Wrath. TBC was good, and a lot of people enjoyed it. I don't think it didn't hit the same splash, right? It didn't retain the same number of players. Wrath, though, has brought people back in droves. Because Wrath is amazing. Wrath brought some change. Wrath sort of, balanced the game out and made it more accessible. And for some people, it turned, it was when WoW made its turn to being what it is now. And so some people might look at it in a negative way, but I think that most people like the changes that Wrath brought. And in fact, there might even be people that say, I like how Wrath casualized the game, but I didn't want it to go any further than that. I think there's a lot of people that might even say that. And that's why there's so many people coming back to Wrath. I think Wrath is going to be maybe not as big as Vanilla, but pretty close. I think it brings a lot of people back. It may not. There's something about the novelty of the Vanilla original classic experience that I don't even think Wrath can touch. But as an expansion for classic, I think Wrath's going to be your biggest. Next to that, though, I do think there would be a decent number of people that would want to re-experience Mists of Pandaria again and Legion. And I think that's it. I don't think there's anybody else. Like there might be some for Kata. I don't think it'll be very many. I don't think there would be very many for any of the other expansions we've already talked about. But those two, aside from what we've already gotten, I think there could be some people that would want to go back to those. So the question is, what do? Do they just, go back and, hey, if this expansion doesn't do well, oh well, some people might play it. They could do that, or they could, they could skip on the miss, which that they could do that as well. I definitely think that there's something about Classic that keeping the world as the old world is a big part of what makes Classic great. Because in retail, you can level up through the Cataclysm zones. You can level up through Mists of Pandaria. Well, to be fair, you could level up through Burning Crusade and Wrath as well. But a big draw for vanilla was you were literally getting content that you cannot get anymore. You can do dungeons, excuse me, and you can go to zones that do not exist in the game anymore, and that is true. And so it's partially the old design, it's also partially the old content. So and having leveled up through the old world, I have to say I really did enjoy myself. There were parts that were rough, but for the most part, I enjoyed going. I mean, I've made some awesome videos. This is awesome, that is awesome. Shimmering Flats is awesome. It's a good example of I don't want that to go away. So I definitely think that there needs to be something that preserves the old world. Whether they do like a Chromie Time style or, something like that, where you can go back to that old world, kind of thing. That could be cool. But I think they should preserve that. And I also think that there is something to be said about the original trilogy. Maybe, we have Classic Era, and then we have Classic and we have Retail, right? Maybe they could take the Classic Era servers and have them sort of cycle through the different expansions. Like maybe you take a handful of servers for each era, right? And you could just cycle them out or something, and then funnel everybody into a server when it's done, and then people can make fresh on, every few years. Maybe they could do that, and there might be people that would continuously want to do that. I'm sure there might be. You never know. Or new people will come back and want to relive it. Because one of the things that sucks right now is it's a FOMO problem. Because I miss out on TBC. Because I had a son, I had a lot going on in my life, and I didn't have time to play. And I was also playing some other games. I was really into Final Fantasy. I missed out on TBC, unfortunately. I don't want to miss out on Wrath like I did TBC, especially Wrath, because Wrath was my favorite. But, there's also Dragonflight. There's also what's going on in Final Fantasy. There's other games coming out. There's a Pokemon game coming out this month, soon. There's a new God of War. So it's tough for games that are changing. You don't want to miss out. It's one of the things that I think keeps a lot of people around is that FOMO. So having servers, I think one thing that they could do with Classic is having some servers devoted to the original trilogy, because if you want to talk about the Classic era, there's Classic, TBC, and Wrath. That is, to me, the Classic era. And they could do some things there. They could even say, I think personally Wrath had the best class design. You could have Classic, but with Wrath's class design, because I think it was better. You could you could do stuff like that. You could say, just every year, So 1 year is vanilla, year 2 is TBC, year 3 is Wrath. You could do that. You could make leveling faster. You could make leveling have an option to be faster. You could add new content in for those old things. And so that's where we get into the next thing is, before we get into, I guess, new content, let's talk about what content they could use. What if they follow the old way? Like, we go from expansion to expansion. So we just move on to Cataclysm next. I think that is the least ideal thing that they could do, is move into Cataclysm next. I do not think it will retain the same level of interest if they do that. I genuinely do not. But at the same time, I do sympathize with people that might want to relive that. I don't know how many people there are. And I don't want to live. A lot of people make this mistake of assuming that everybody thinks like them, and that discounting people that may think differently. I don't want to do that. So I don't want to speculate on how many people there are. The bottom line is there are people that would like it, and I want to be empathetic to people like that and say, man, I would hate for you not to get to have that. But of course you get into a thing where it's like, if you do that, then you lose a lot of what a lot of the content, right? Because Cataclysm changes things. So, that's where the problem comes in for a lot of people. So, they could do that. I think that if they're going to move forward and just move to the next expansion, I don't think that it should be about preservation at that point. Because I would say that, a lot of the changes they make here in Wrath are good. With the way dungeon works, doing like super heroics or whatever, Mythic Plus, and bringing essentially that idea sort of into Wrath, item level changes, some stuff like that, some class changes, minor things, I think that's good. And you look at like Diablo 2, and you look at Diablo 2 Resurrected, and that game's doing good stuff, with their seasons, their latter seasons, adding in new rune words, adding in some new content ideas, new terror zones or whatever. It's good stuff. And I think that, that's good to do, without fundamentally changing the game, but adding in new content or, improving on what's already there. You have an amazing game in Diablo 2, but you can add some quality of life changes that don't necessarily change up the game itself too much. They can do that, and I've killed plenty of cleft hoofs, and it works out great. So, I think that, the moving forward with expansions, if they want to follow the content path, that's fine. But I think there's a lot they can do in each expansion after this one to improve it. And some would require a lot more work. Warlords is a good example of you do not just want to preserve. You want to redesign it. And Cataclysm, it could use some love, So this place is crowded. Let's go somewhere else. I think that's like the approach they should make. If they want to move forward with the content that's already been established, then the only way to me that you do that is with some new takes on it, because otherwise I don't think it'll work that well. Another option they could do, and this is where it gets interesting, is they could do Classic Plus. And I think there are a lot of people that would be interested in Classic Plus. Of course, the challenge with Classic Plus is that it may not work. People may not like what you make, but confidence, okay, that's the key. Confidence. Try like, if you're going to do that, then be confident in what you're going to do and try to make things that people will like, right? Take the game in a different direction. Take the story in a different direction. Have an Elseworld, right? This is a different take on the story. Do that. That's what Classic Plus can be. And suddenly you've built another game alongside the other game, right? You can do that as well. You look at old school RuneScape. Don't do Cataclysm, but bring Deathwing back. Bring Deathwing back. Go to Draenor, but don't do garrisons, right? Or do them, have a different take on them, add different ideas on them. Update the graphics to look like the modern graphics and have the modern engine and do some of the modernizations, but maintain the classic class designs, classic trees, and sort of, I guess, that kind of stuff, And I think that, there are some things that people are divided on. I mean, I think there are a lot of people that would like Group Finder. I'm one of those people, by the way. I would like him. I'd like them to bring in Group Finder for Classic. I know that's crazy. But I would, and I think that would be a good thing. I think that, just looking at it these days, I have a different perspective. I've talked about it before, but there are people that would not want that. And so that's where the problem comes in. But maybe you can look into a compromise. I think they're trying to do that. It's just not working out all that well. But figure it out. Like that, and that's the cool thing is, like, with Classic, you have the opportunity to do something And hey, I mean, if you're really going to experiment, right? And say you have classic era to keep these old games, and you look at classic era as being that, not just a season of mastery thing, not just vanilla only, but the original trilogy. If you do that, then you've got that safety for people that genuinely just want to relive that. You can experiment. And hey, like all the like they always seem to be so afraid to just jump in head first with retail, and I think that's one of the biggest things that holds Blizzard back with WoW design. Take classic and just go crazy. Just do stuff, and make it a developer playground and a player playground. Do something crazy and see what might work. It's an opportunity to try again. Because in a lot of, I mean, it's weird to look back and like I said, when you think about what expansions people would like to go to, there's almost been as many misses as there have been hits. And part of that is, even some of the old stuff may not be as loved now as it was then. For me, Wrath is the best iteration. You could build off of what Wrath brings to WoW and make some new stuff. To me, that's the best thing. Like I said, you can even retell those stories. Retell Cataclysm, except he doesn't cause a cataclysm. But bring in Hyjal and Deep Home, you know what I mean? Or something. Or maybe there's like some slight changes to certain spots without anything crazy. We can go to Pandaria. Why not? Why not bring in the monk? Bring in the monk class and design it around the older style of play. Don't go too crazy into, don't take paladins down the holy power style. Don't take monks down the combo point style. Or maybe you could just design them the same way. I don't know. So there's a lot of things they could do. Bring in do Legion again. And this time do have the legendary system in the beginning. Like people would love it. People would go nuts with that. There's some content for you. They could do that, and people would play it too. Or think of different ways to do it. You know what I mean? I think that the worst thing they could do is write classic off and just keep doing what they're doing. Just keep it coasting. You know what I mean? Like just coast is the worst thing they could do. Just neutral paddle and let the current take it, and just whatever happens. Because I think that classic has proven itself now on more than one occasion that there is opportunity to make money and build an audience. I think that classic has it, and I would even argue that in some ways it may even have it more potential than retail. I might make some people mad saying that, but I really think so. Or at the very least it has just as much. Because I like retail too, and I like the direction they're going with Dragonflight. But retail feels painfully modern, whereas classic feels classic. And while you can do some things in retail that are modern and bring some new changes, or should I say classic, I guess, you can take classic and add some modernizations. Update the graphics. Why not? Graphics look great. No one's complaining about the art. I wouldn't mind all of this getting updated. And I wouldn't mind certain aspects of the retail UI, especially if you make it optional. Bring in the outlines and waypoints and the controller setup and the targeting system that Dragonflight brings and the UI customization. Why not? Bring that stuff in. It's optional. Make it optional. That stuff that people don't have to use. But keep the old game design, the old world, the old content. You know what I mean? And I think that has potential. Because for me, what's best is a little bit of both. It's a nuanced take. It doesn't have to be binary. It doesn't have to be all classic, all retail, right? I value both, and there are strengths from both in my book. So, anyways, you guys, I wanted to talk about that. I'm curious to hear what you guys think. And I know that, it's limited resources. There's only so much they can do. And yet at the same time, it's limitless possibilities and the chance for a mega impact. I think that WoW has it. I legitimately do. Because I can tell you guys right now, I've had more fun playing Wrath Classic than I've had playing any MMO, including Final Fantasy, and I love that game. But more, especially WoW. I haven't had this much fun playing WoW in a very long time. For me, I don't even think Legion was as much fun as I'm having with Wrath. So to me, that says that there's opportunity. It's up to Blizzard to make that opportunity count for something. If they can't see it, then what are they doing there? Because for someone like me I am visually impaired. I am legally blind. Blind as a bat, and I can see the opportunity. It's there. So, anyways, I wanted to share that, guys. Would love to hear your guys' thoughts on it. What should Blizzard do, with Classic? Where should they go from here? What would you like to see? Would you like to relive other expansions besides Wrath? Would you like them to go down Classic Plus? Would love to hear what you guys think in the comments below. So let me know, and I will see you guys on the next one. Thank you for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, let me know by clicking that like button. And feel free to share it with your friends so they can enjoy it as well. And if you'd like to see more videos, you can subscribe to the channel and click on the bell icon to be notified as soon as new videos are posted. You can also follow me on Facebook, and if you'd like, you can support my work on Patreon. Links to all that stuff can be found in the description below. This is TheKephas. Until next time.